Hello to everybody. My name is Carmen Jaimes, and I took the seminar of Afro-Descendants, Social Inequalities, and Anti-Racism from a Global Perspective with Professor Dr. Rocio Vera in 2019. And my final paper for the seminar was about Afro-Germans. There were many reasons why I chose that topic. One is related to the fact that as Peruvian who grew up in Italy, I can confirm the existences of systematic and institutional racism in Peru against mostly indigenous and Afro-Peruvian people, but also in Italy against mainly immigrants, refugees, or people who is not considered as typical Italian, which means white people. I have many Italian Black friends who experienced many racial discriminations. So I was wondering if in Berlin was the same with Black German people. I had the opportunity to meet, to know many students and also many German Black students. And I wanted to know the perspective from their point of view about how was living in Berlin as Black Germans. So I collected all this information and I linked it with the knowledge of the seminar, which according to me is one of the best seminars in Alice Salomon, because I could relearn the history. And after I listened all the experiences and all the Black students, I could not only confirm the existences of racism in Berlin, but also how these discourses have developed and how these speeches influence the life of Black Germans. With all this information, I tried to categorize these experiences in group. So I would like to share with you a short presentation, which the first slide is about types of racist experiences. The first group of this is about racist experiences in daily interaction. And here is when people talk to Afro-German students directly in English, taking for granted they cannot speak German, or when they show astonishment when Black Germans can speak fluently German, or when people congratulate them because they can speak fluently the language, or when people insist to know where they are from, the real roots, when they already stated to have been born in Germany. And the second group is about racist experiences at work or in place of studies, in their place of studies, and some of them experiences offensive treatment or they were underestimated. I have some example of one student who told me that his professor was asking him why he was studying so hard if he will do something else at the end of his studies. And also they have a constant feeling to be afraid of doing some mistake at work, and they have this constantly feelings to prove to be over the expectations, otherwise they will consider it as Black incompetent. And also they had very bad experiences with recruiters. For example, I have another example about a student who had an excellent job for an interview, but after he resent his curriculum vitae with his picture, he was rejected from the recruiter. And third, we have a group of racist experiences in different contexts. For example, with Black Germans go to look for an apartment, or whether interact with institutions or with police. People ask them the level of the language, the level of the education, the level of the education of their parents. So they also they not only experiences racial discrimination, but also social and economic discrimination. And fourth is about racial exclusion, and this is related with no accessibility and no representation. Many of black many black German students told me that they don't feel represented in senior positions as CEOs, as leaders, professors, doctors, presidents in educational institutions, in local or national governments, in big companies, etc. They feel they are not considered as intellectual person. And fifth and the last one is about residents' experiences in Africa, because some of them had the opportunity to visit the country of their parents, and they also they were perceived as outsiders in Africa too. So they also told me that they noted racial discrimination among Black people. They consider themselves from the size of the eyes, from the size of the nose, type of hairs, or skin color. So we can see that all this type of racist experiences can cause frustration, pressure, stress, depression, exclusion, rejection. And we know that we can observe that there are structural inequalities and which have their basis in all scientific races. Many of the Afro-German students have the desire to come back to the countries of their parents because they feel rejected from the country where they were born, and they see Africa as their alternative home, and also they want to come back then and do something which is related with their studies, and also help the African communities. But there are many students that they want to change the situation here in Germany, the country where they were born. And according to me, and this is about the next slide, Afro-German students are important mediators for the present and future construction of the German identity. In fact, Afro-German students in this case, they interact with German community, which is predominant white, in schools, in university, in job places, in German institutions, but also they interact with African community in Berlin, with friends, known people, NGOs, other institutions, but also they interact with the African community of the country of their parents, with families and relatives. So they experience racial discrimination in all these interactions, and they want to change it. They want to change the reality here in Germany. And one example of this is about a project which is called Afro-Census, which is about my next slide. And Afro-Census is the first survey that will record racist experiences of Black people in Germany. Here, many Black students are involved in this project, and they want to raise awareness about racist crimes, which in 2018 were 8,000 cases and many other unregistered cases. So the main aim of the Afro-Census is to propose the measures to reduce racial discriminations and promote people of African descendants here in Germany, the country where they were born. So I hope this is my presentation, and I hope it was helpful. And thank you to Professor Rosillo, and thank you to all for listening. Bye.